welcome to the Jaime Dee Show. Woo! Live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 FM every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. PST. We're back live on the StreamYard. I had to take the StreamYard off yesterday because I've been here covering the BET Awards weekend, and they were celebrating 50 years of hip hop. Super happy to have you all on this live broadcast. What's up, y'all? Taco Tuesday. Yes. Hopefully, y'all having some tacos. So, we have a lot to go over today because, again, I didn't have the StreamYard up yesterday, which means you guys weren't live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. Now you get to see this face. This is the face of a star. This is the face of a star, somebody who completed their first ever BET Awards weekend. So, I'm going to actually get into that experience today. But first, we have our daily news headlines. Then I'm going to get into my first ever BET Awards weekend experience. And then later, we have McKensie Mack, who's going to come in and tell us all about their business. They are a chief purpose officer and founder of MMG, a Black-owned and non-binary led change management firm. You all may be asking, what is a change management firm? Well, stick around because McKensie Mack will tell you all about their business. We're going to tell you all about their business. So make sure that you all stay tuned, stick around. Let's get into the daily news. Okay, first of all, let's start off with this because I had something already set up, and so I saw this on social media. And according to the Shade Room, they continually throw their mother's ashes on stage at a paint concert. What is wrong with y'all? Why do y'all just out here to do anything and everything at these people's concerts? Y'all be throwing underwear, y'all be throwing cell phones, now y'all throwing y'all parents' ashes. That's weird. Y'all don't have anything better to do but just to harass these talent. They're out here to perform for y'all and make you have a great time. You're out here throwing your parents' ashes. I'm 100% positive your mom. And I want you to throw her body on the stage like that. Ooh, I need to get it together. Now, this is the picture. I do want to talk about this. The Florida woman who actually shot and killed the mom of four, Jack Owens, actually won't be charged for murder. They're saying that she won't face murder charges, but she'll be facing manslaughter instead, and then still raps for killing Ajak Owens. Personally, personally, they're saying that they have been feuding for years now, and this individual, which I will not say her name because I do not give publicity to those who are out here harming people for no reason, especially my people. Apparently, they were feuding for years, and she has had many different occasions where she's been racist, not only to Ajak Owens but to their kids as well. And this shows every day why African American people have to continue to fight for their rights. This shows why people in different minority groups have to continue to fight for their rights. Because when people say, "Oh, you guys have all these protections, you have all these rights, and you're getting you're getting colleges quicker and faster and better than everybody else, and you're getting all these benefits," no, we're still getting killed. We're still not getting the justice we deserve. We're still over here dealing with situations where when we are looking for ourselves to be treated fairly and equally, we're not. You're telling me that they're not going to charge this lady with a murder charge, but manslaughter? What? This lady murdered this mother of four. Point blank simple. She murdered a mother of four. You shot a lady through your door. Who does that? You shot a lady through your door. It ain't like she had the door open and she shot her. It ain't like they were on the field where the iPad was found and they shot her. No, you shot this lady through your door, killing her in front of her son. This is why I tell people so often that you have to remember, as our Caucasian counterparts, you have a privilege that other minority groups do not get to have or get to use to get through certain situations. You can use your privilege to literally get through certain situations. So I ask everybody to remember that we're people. We're asking for fair treatment. We want to be equal. And when we're asking for those in power, people in government to not get rid of DE&I, not get rid of certain precedents such as abortion laws, not get rid of certain things as it pertains to how cops can treat us and those laws and those procedures. When you get rid of these laws and procedures that are put into place to protect those who don't have the privilege, like other individuals, you are setting us back in history to where these things can continue to repeat themselves. I just really do not like talking about these situations, but we have to. And instead of just talking about, hey, this situation happened, we can talk about why it's important that we have these rules and regulations and in process so that we're able to be treated fairly and equally. Now, according to TMZ, the California Court of Appeals will allow Wade Robinson's molestation accusations against Michael Jackson to be heard in the court of law. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all something real quick. The social media comments are all like, "He's dead. Let him rest in peace." Now y'all coming from the dead, so on and so forth. Listen, I don't know what happened. Anybody's anything. I don't know anybody's situation. I wasn't there. I'm not a victim, and I'm not somebody who victim blames, and I'm not somebody who's gonna tell somebody when they should or should not speak out. And so if the really have a case and it's true, then you should speak out. If it's not, what are you doing? The person's gone. Why are you just trying to come after the assets? Some people are very despicable. I get that. And I'm on the side of do what's right. However, Wade Robinson did say that they're suing Jackson's corporation, and the company is arguing that they had no legal duty to protect anybody, including Robinson, since the company had no independent control of Michael Jackson. Well, if you don't remember, in 2005, Michael Jackson was on trial for the molesting another boy, allegedly. Robinson testified that although he slept in MJ's bed, nothing happened. He now says that he falsely testified because of complete manipulation and brainwashing. I'm gonna just say this. Hear me loud and clear. People are scared when they're put in a position to tell the truth. Everybody does not have the courage to tell the truth. Everybody does not feel secure in telling the truth. And a lot of people are afraid of retaliation as pertains to telling the truth. I've been in situations where I felt in my personal life where I felt like I couldn't tell the truth in certain situations, and I had to come back and say, "Hey, I was scared. I didn't want to stand in front of this specific individual, or I felt like this would hurt my job or my career." And so I get it. Again, I don't know what happened. This is all alleged. I am not Michael Jackson. I am not Wade Robinson. I wasn't even born. I don't even know what they had going on, and so I don't know. I'm not siding with anybody. I just want people to realize that there are repercussions for lying. There are repercussions for putting people in danger. Granted, Michael Jackson is deceased, so it ain't like he gonna leave. What y'all gonna do to him? But you have other people who are gonna have to be held accountable for certain things they may or may not have done or been responsible for or been part of. So I really urge those who are just seeking money or who are just seeking to get in the news headlines because they want clout or just seeking some type of attention. Remember that if you're not a real victim, you make it harder for those victims who are actually trying to seek justice. Now, hey, this person isn't lying, seeking justice. I'm hoping that it all works out for you. But again, this is all alleged. We don't know. And for those who are, having an opinion, the world is so flip floppy. Sometimes they're with the victim, sometimes they're not with the victim. At this point, let's just wait until the truth comes out. Now, like I told you, I'm going to tell you about my BET Awards weekend experience. But this is news headlines, and I want to talk about this now. Patti LaBelle speaks out following her Tina Turner tribute at the BET Awards. I was there live in person. I had a front row seat to this entire situation, and yes, it all went wrong. It all went wrong. And y'all know, I've been in the industry for about, let's say, 11 years now, right? Behind the scenes. I've been in front of the camera. I've done talent relations. I've done production. I've done all PA work, casting assistant. I've done so much in the industry. So I've seen. Oh, I've also been a news reporter. I've done stuff in the newsroom too. So I understand how telemarketers work. I understand how the run of show works. I understand how even though we may be live, there are a lot of resources in the space to help out different talent. And Patti LaBelle had a teleprompter. However, she was saying she couldn't see it. Now, from where I was standing, I was looking around like I see the lyrics. So I don't know why Patti LaBelle can't see the lyrics, but I will say this: Patti LaBelle is a household name, and just off the strength of her coming out and her name being introduced, everybody popped up out of their seats. If you weren't there live, you wouldn't be able to see how people are blocking different resources. Yes, the teleprompter was in the middle, but you have all these lights. You have Elle, who is older. We don't know what her vision's like. We don't know what her hearing's like. Also, the mics. Oh, the sound was off the entire BET Awards weekend. I'm sorry, BET Awards show. And so, well, actually, weekend too, because that other event was on too. But specifically the show, the sound was definitely off. So I'm not sure what led Patti LaBelle to make the mistake she made, and so I will give her grace on that point. However, Patty, did you not do that mistake? Girl, Tina Turner, who just passed, like literally just passed, and you did a tribute and didn't know her lyrics. I'm sorry, Patty, that's embarrassing. You didn't study. Granted, I know you're a legend in your own right. You've been doing this for years. I get it. But come on, Miss Patty. Come on, Miss Patty. In other news, Bassett is set to receive an honorary Oscar at this year's Governor's Award, as reported by the State Room. Now, you may be asking, what is this? What is an honorary Oscar? Well, through my own personal research, I found that some awards are voted on, but honorary awards are not voted on. They're actually presented at the discretion of the Academy themselves. So it is a high prestige honor to actually be given an honorary Oscar. I'm gonna tell you this is my thought though. While they may have come back to the table and said, "Hey, Angela Bassett deserves an Oscar, and she's gonna be giving it at the Governor's Award." I don't know how many of y'all watch the Governor's Awards. I don't even know if they're live. I've never even heard of the Governor's Award before. To be honest, if it wasn't for that post, I wouldn't even know that she was getting an Oscar. And my thoughts are, give it to people while they're on your main stage. I don't know how big Governor's Awards are. I'm not saying it's not a big main stage, but give it to them on the main stage. And the main stage is the Oscars, where the Oscars are given. Where y'all at? I get it. Those are voted on. Why don't y'all just have an honorary section? Why don't y'all just make that a part of the show? You know what? Listen, the culture of the entertainment is all over the place. I'm gonna just leave it at that. It's all over the place, so it is what it is. But congratulations, Angela Bassett. You are deserving of an Oscar. No honorary Oscar. But congratulations on your honorary Oscar. In Las Vegas news, okay, safety on the minds on Lake Mead visitors because there's been several drownings since summer started. Now, there were already people who unfortunately lost their lives for hours of the week, but this past weekend, it's reported by Fox News that Fox 5 Vegas, excuse me, that there were these individuals, a male and a female, who did rent out the boat. They went out on to Lake Mead, and one male actually jumped into the water and didn't resurface. So now there is this huge search for this male who has been missing since going out on the boat. And I'm just praying that if he didn't resurface, obviously, what that means. Follow legs until you figure out what happens. You never know what could end up happening. Miracles do happen every day. But I am sending my thoughts first out to this family, and I just want you all to know that we do have bodies in the water in Vegas. We do have cruises. We do have paddle boats. There's so many things to do on the water in Vegas. Yes, in Vegas. Technically, it's like, but that's technically still a part of Vegas. So we do have these incidents happening every day, and I urge you all to make sure you're wearing the life vest. Make sure you're going out with people who can swim. Make sure to stay hydrated. If you know you can't swim, you should not be drinking liquor, doing substances, and jumping in the water. And for those who are out there who want to have a good time and you don't mean any harm by hyping your friends up to jump, go swim, have a good time, dive, make sure to remember to ask people, are they comfortable? Can they swim? If they jump in and you can swim out, go jump in and save them. Because look, y'all be having people risk their lives for 5 seconds of fun, and then now it's over. Now the whole day is ruined. So remember, peer pressure can be fun, but it can also be damaging. It can also be negative. So remember to ask for consent. Remember to know your friends, know who can swim, know who can't, and take all safety precautions to make sure you are all safe. And before we go to break, we have one more Las Vegas story. So we're gonna make it rain in Nevada. A new Nevada law allocates 1.2 million for cloud seeding, as reported by Fox 5 Vegas. Now, this is great because, like I just told you, we do have water in Vegas, but we do deal with a lot of drought. We have very extreme weather. It just finally broke 100 degrees here in Nevada. So we are seeing hotter times, less water, and we need that. So it's cool that they're going to start this project in Red Rock because that's where we're seeing a lot of the droughts. But it's going to expand all throughout Nevada, and the locations will be announced as they come along. But right now, we're seeing that they're starting in Red Rock. All right, guys, a quick break. I want you all to know I'm going to come back and talk to you about my first ever BET Awards experience. I am so excited for you all to know everything that happened. Like I said, quick break. Don't go anywhere because after my BET Awards experience, we're gonna have McKensie Mack, the founder and chief purpose officer of MMG Earth, a Black and non-binary led change management firm, who's gonna come on and tell us all about their company. So stick around. Quick break. You're listening to the Jaime Dee Show live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 FM. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Vegas has Italian ice. Philly Freeze Me Italian ice, also known as water ice, is 100% authentic Italian ice made with authentic recipes and fresh ingredients. Philly Freeze Me is also vegan. Try a single flavor or mix it up and taste test multiple flavors like watermelon and cotton candy or strawberry lemonade and mango. It can be adult friendly with alcohol infused flavors. 2 area locations open until 8 p.m. every day. Follow Philly Freeze Me on social media at Philly Freeze Me or online at phillyfreezeme.com.
Cup Bop Korean Barbecue in a Cup is serving up unique Korean-style dishes and a special brand of fun. Treat yourself to a delicious bowl of rice, cabbage, noodles, your choice of protein like the Rock Bop, which is tangy fried chicken, and your choice of sauce from all sweet to nothing but the heat. Bop on over to eatcupbop.com to find the location nearest you and savor some crazy good Korean food served with a smile. With 5 area locations, 1100 South Fort Apache at Charleston, 7150 North Durango at Elkhorn, 4680 South Maryland Parkway, 1975 West Craig Road, and 7175 West Lake Mead Boulevard.
Attention Medicare members. Hi, I'm Margaret Pitcher with Light Owl Insurance. I'm a licensed agent in Las Vegas. Make an appointment by calling 725-249-4994. While I do not offer every plan available in your area, any information I provide is limited to those plans. Please contact Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to get more information on all of your options. TTY users, call 1-877-486-248-2048. My goal is to ensure that all of your healthcare needs are met. Call me for an appointment at 725-249-4994. That number again is 725-249-4994.
Immersive Disney animation is the groundbreaking experience of a lifetime, featuring the animated sights and sounds of Disney's most iconic films, from The Lion King to Frozen to Encanto and more. Step into the magic of Disney's greatest characters. Immersive Disney animation is now open at Lighthouse Art Space Las Vegas at the Shops at Crystals. Tickets at DisneyImmersive.com. Brought to you by the producers of Immersive Van Gogh.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Jaime Dee Show, live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 FM every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. PST. If you're just now tuning into the show, I already went over the daily news headlines. And now in this segment, I'm going to talk to you all about my first ever BET Awards experience. Y'all, it was such an amazing time. The little black boy in me is so happy, so appreciative, and literally crying because I would have never seen myself in this space. When I tell you all, I have been dreaming about this experience since I was a child, and I finally made it come true. Thank you, God, and to everybody who was actually a part of this experience. Before I get into the story, though, special shout out to Selena and Tia Mari, who was a part of my dream team this entire weekend. It wouldn't have been possible without them two. And also, shout out to my friend Ellis, who's also a videographer who goes by Digital Avenue. If it wasn't for those three actually, this experience would have not been possible. I'm so grateful. Actually, I want to shout out to Black Bon Jovi, who is a hip rock artists in the local LA area who actually also helped me get into the BET Awards weekend and show. So thank you so much for all of those individuals who came out, shined bright, and allowed this little Black boy, who is now this grown Black boy, to experience a dream that he's always been working towards. So, y'all, we have a few minutes. I do want to bring in McKensie Mack. They are going to talk about so much. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you about my BET Awards experience. So it started on Thursday. Unfortunately, I couldn't do Thursday's activities because of the fact that I was here live on air with you all. But Friday, I got in and I immediately went to the House of BET. You all don't know what that is. It's one of their studios they have in Los Angeles, California. And they had this extremely huge immersive experience in all of these different sessions where they brought back 106 & Park. Big Tigger and Roxy were there. They had all these different special performances. You were able to meet different individuals, celebrities, which was just walking around everywhere. I got to see Bow Wow again. I got to meet Orion, who was actually DJing on the main floor outside by the gate. You got to see, they brought the Atlanta Trap Museum to the House of BET. It was just so much going on. It was great. On Saturday, I did get to experience the Culture Creators Brunch, which is awesome. Shout out to Busta Rhymes, who received so many awards this weekend. I met so many great individuals. Then I went to all these different parties with Zeus. Shout out to Bobby Lights. Shout out to Natalie Nunn, Krishan Rock, and the president of Zeus himself. And it was just so much going on. But the award show was just a dream come true. Not only did I get to cover the pink carpet this year, but I got to do so much as it pertains to branding myself, meeting different individuals, and that engaging with so many celebrities that I've met in my past before I became the Jaime Dee Show. And just seeing everybody who's been watching my stories literally run up to me like, oh my God, Jaime, you made it. Oh my God, congratulations on your new live morning show. It really made my life, not just me, but my life feel so warm. And it was so validating because if you don't live the African-American experience, if you don't live the African male American experience, you don't get to understand the different challenges we have to go through. And a lot of times I go through so many challenges that I don't speak about because I don't feel like I'm in a safe space to do so, or I don't feel like I have somebody who really cares to listen, and so on. And so being in a space where people see you, people are rooting for you, and you have other people who look like you who are saying, I'm so glad to have seen you grow. I'm glad to see you in the same space that I've been in for years, was amazing. And so I'm sending out this prayer that I continue to open up more doors. I get the bag, I get paid for these experiences. And I just continue to be able to be a light and be my genuine self as I do more of these red carpets, pink carpets, award shows, and more. And that not only does my name speak for itself, but my experience speaks for itself as well. And I don't have to beg or finesse or try to sneak into anything anymore, because now I am the Jaime Dee Show. And I am Jaime Dee. Y'all, I want to get more into it, but we do need to go to a quick break because we do have McKensie Mack, who is here. They are the founder and chief purpose officer of MMG Earth, a Black non-binary led change management firm. Again, we're going to take a quick break, but I want you all to know that I'm grateful. This was a dream come true. Again, thank you all to everybody who was involved. I did so much. I got to see all the behind the scenes of the show. I was front row and center. I sat next to Crime Mob the entire time. It's a great experience. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. And shout out to my family who was actually supporting me behind the scenes. Mama, I did it. But yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to have McKensie Mack live on air. And they're going to talk about so many great things, because I want you guys to listen to what they have to say, okay? So stick around. Quick break, all right? You're tuning into the Jaime Dee Show live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 right here. We're back.
Hungry for the best barbecue in Las Vegas? Come out to the infamous barbecue and meat market, John Mole's Meats and Roadkill Grill in Las Vegas. John Mole's was featured on the Food Network's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Now take home delicious meat selections for your grill, and while you're there, grab a bite of the best barbecue in Las Vegas. With 2 locations now at Tom and Gowan or on North Decatur, you're sure to find the perfect meats for your next barbecue or party. Find us online at johnmolemeats.com.
Zen World Premium CBD offers full and broad spectrum CBD oil, extracts, and capsules, which are designed to help you feel your best. Their products are sourced from the best organic hemp and natural ingredients on the market and are tested for quality, purity, and potency. They have a full range of items from health and wellness to beauty to pets. Call 725-205-9223. Visit online at zinworld.com or stop by their location at 9895 South Maryland Parkway and Silverado Ranch Parkway. Mention KSHP for 10% off in store or use code KSHP online for 15% off.
At AR Heating and Air Conditioning, our main goal is to provide high-quality service without breaking the bank. From maintaining your HVAC units to fixing them when they are down, they are there for you. AR Heating and Air Conditioning offer reasonable prices, reliability, and professional service at a great value. For more information, go to fixmyac.net or call 702-646-4000. Beat the heat and call AR Heating and Air Conditioning today.
Welcome to Hash House A Go-Go, where we've been serving farm food and crafted cocktails for over 2 decades. Visit us for the full Hash House experience at any of our 5 Las Vegas locations. Hash House A Go-Go is where old school meets new and gets twisted. We bring people together over good food and fun. Come in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and come hungry because our portions are huge. Visit us online to see our entire menu at hashhouseagogo.com. Hash House A Go-Go. It's a Midwest thing, and there's nothing else like it.
Hey. And just like that, we're back to the Jaime Dee Show, live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 FM every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. PST. And hey, if you're not listening live on the radio, we're live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook at the Jaime Dee Show. That's TheJaimedEeshow. Now, if you're just now tuning in, I already went over the daily news headlines. I just went over my experience at the BET Awards and my experience with the weekend. And now we're going to have McKensie Mack, who's going to join us live on air. But real quick, again, special shout out to everybody who believed in me this past weekend. I will be in New Orleans this upcoming weekend, actually covering Essence Fest. So stick around for more Black Boy Joy and me breaking so many different barriers that were set up against our people. But let's get into this, all right? We have McKensie Mack, who is joining me live on air. They are the founder and chief purpose officer of MMG Earth, a Black and non-binary led change management firm. McKensie, welcome in.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you.
I love your energy.
Thank you so much, McKensie. I love that you're here. And you look beautiful, by the way. Welcome in.
Thank you so much. You know, I had to prepare
My
for
pleasure.
the Jaime Dee Show, so I had to be ready.
Thank you. Now, McKensie, before we get into everything, I'm being told you're from Chicago.
Yes, I am. Originally from the South Side.
Chicago. You say you're from the South Side?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, never mind. Get off my live, McKensie. I'm from the West Side. But welcome in. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here at the Jaime Dee Show. Now, if you're not tuned in on our live, you're missing out because we have a lot of behind the scenes. I'm going to ask specific questions right now that pertain to this live before we get strictly into their organization. Now, McKensie, you do have pronouns they/them on the screen. Explain to us why having your pronouns right now and being known is so important to your identity and to just this broadcast.
That's such a great question. I mean, I think that when we think about the fact that we're in Pride Month, we know that—
Happy Pride.
Thank you so much. Happy Pride, Jaime Dee. We know that the first Pride was a riot, and it really was a demand for queer people, for gay people to be treated, equitably, to be treated well within our society. And now, as we continue to develop our understanding of gender and sexuality and the differences between the two, it gives us more of an opportunity to be able to expand our culture and expand our viewpoints and our beliefs, especially when it comes to genderqueer and gender non-binary people.
I love to hear that. And now you are an individual who has this organization, and I want to give the audience, because they're all saying, love the blonde, they look amazing, welcome in. I want people to understand who you are before we get strictly into your business. Were you assigned female at birth?
So really good question. So what I'll say is, for folks that are typically genderqueer, gender non-binary, we tend to steer away from that question and instead answer it by saying,
teach us. Yes.
We tend to steer away from that conversation because it's almost like if I was asking anybody, tell me about a very personal detail about your life, the first time I'm meeting you. And so it's one of those things that is pretty private. So instead, I like to frame it as describing it as a non-binary person, which I know a lot of people can relate to, but maybe they just don't have the language. The ways in which I experience gender is in varied ways. So there are a lot of things that I do that people might consider to be only things that men should do. There might be other things that I do that maybe other folks might think, oh, only women should do that. And I do both and more.
Love that.
And so
Yes.
about how I show up in the world.
McKensie, I'm in full support of you, your pronouns, and how you identify. Thank you so much for being that leader in change. And I wanted to ask those questions before we get into the interview, due to the fact that we do have people who aren't educated on pronouns, who aren't educated on the questions you should and should not ask, who aren't educated on boundaries. And one thing that you work on is teaching people about boundaries and how they should treat everybody fairly and equally. So let's get into it, McKensie. Now, you are the founder and chief purpose officer of MMG Earth, a Black and non-binary led change management firm. What does that mean?
Yeah, so really what it means is that for multiple decades now, change management has been an industry that predominantly has been made up of white people. And these are the folks that make millions and millions of dollars to come into organizations, to companies, to historically marginalized communities, to develop plans for how improvement can happen and how change can be managed over time. So with our firm in particular, I wanted to break barriers like you, Jaime Dee. I wanted to break barriers. Yes. And I wanted to come into an industry as a Black person, as a queer person, as a non-binary person from the South Side of Chicago, which I already know. I'm already going to be repping where I'm from. And
fast period.
Entering into that industry by saying, we actually can come up with our own solutions in our own communities. And we don't necessarily need folks coming from outside the community to kind of tell us what it means to innovate within a community we live in and work in every day.
McKensie, what you just said was so important, which is why I did want to start the conversation off by asking you those two questions, because you are able to speak to the exact experience. A lot of times we do have our counterparts who we may love and respect try to come in and tell us about who we are, and that doesn't work, which is why I did want to have those two specific questions asked at the beginning of the interview, because we're able to see how experienced you are and how detailed you are and how respectful you are, especially when you are met against those who may not be as educated or who don't even want to be educated in these spaces. Talk to us about why boundaries are so important as pertains to having conversations with those who are part of the queer experience.
Well, I mean, first of all, when we think about being somebody who experiences oppression or inequity in our society, what tends to happen is you're more likely to be on the receiving end of violent behavior. You're more likely to be on the receiving end of harm and harassment, just basically from walking down the street. That's just the reality that we live in. So when we think about boundaries and why they're so important for folks in the LGBTQIA+ community, one of the reasons they're so important is because if we don't have them, it increases the likelihood that we're going to experience violence in our society, or that people who potentially, based on how they've been raised and what they've been conditioned to believe, think that engaging in hurtful or boundary violations with us is acceptable when it really isn't.
You make a very valid point about people thinking it's acceptable. And this is why I'm always pushing for those who are not a part of the experience to be allies. Can you explain to those who are listening why allies are so important to have through our everyday experience?
Absolutely. So the way that I would describe it is that each of us is a powerful person. Each of us has power. But then we think about privilege. We each also experience privilege differently in our society. So some of us might have more money than others. Some of us have different levels of education. Some of us might be citizens of the U.S. when others are not, right? Or might be first-gen folks whose parents came here and who are like now having a U.S.ian experience for the first time. So by virtue of what we experience in society, how we're perceived, the privilege that we hold, there are going to be some certain people that are just going to listen to us more than they will listen to folks who don't have that same experience or who don't experience privilege in the same way, which is why allies are so important, because those are the folks that in a room full of, you got 50 people in a room who are all queer identified, and you could have somebody who is heterosexual who'll say, you know what, actually, I really think that we should listen to these folks and listen more to their experience so we can understand. And the reality is there are going to be certain people who hold a lot of power in our society who will listen to those folks. So it's one of the reasons why allyship is so important. In addition to, sometimes you're just in a better position to intervene in behavior that's unacceptable that other people might be. So it's how you're going to use the power that you hold and how you're going to use the privilege that you hold to contribute to society in a way that's equitable, in a way that's justice oriented.
McKensie, you're spitting facts, and I love that you are so knowledgeable about the industry that you're in. I'm asking specific questions because I want people to feel comfortable to be able to just understand. Because a lot of times people feel so uncomfortable off the bat for some odd reason. Can you
Yeah.
explain to those who want to be allies who are listening, because we are again live on the radio, but we're live on social media platforms as well, how they could actually show up for us, especially when they're immediately, I would say, turned off by seeing pronouns or seeing the way that people are dressed or how people may present themselves?
Right. Great question. So I like to start first with the individual and what the individual experiences in society. So if you can think back to a time where you were just being yourself, you're not hurting nobody, you're not harming nobody, you're
This
expressing.
past weekend.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You're expressing yourself, you're demonstrating your aliveness as a person. And now imagine that there are huge swaths of the population that are saying, you know what, that's not acceptable. As Black people, we know we've experienced that since the beginning, the inception of slavery in the US, that there were a number of folks, specifically white people and colonizers, that were being really, really honest,
Yeah.
who said, you know what, Black people shouldn't exist. And if they do exist, they should exist beneath my boot, but never as somebody who's thriving as an individual, as a human in our society. And so sometimes when we think about queer people and what it means to have different pronouns, we're experiencing people, we could really ask ourselves, if I'm really on the side of wanting everyone to experience justice and equity in our society, then what is it going to take for me to challenge myself to actually be accepting? What is it going to take for me to develop understanding so I'm not becoming like one of those folks that do engage willfully in oppressive behavior, who are like, this is okay? Because of course that has a trickle down effect in all of our communities, because every single person, especially folks watching this live right now, you have some sort of a cousin or aunt or uncle, right? Or a friend, right? Or potentially a colleague who potentially maybe is afraid to come out because they don't want to be rejected, and because they just want to be loved by you. So that's the way I would
Right.
describe it.
Now, before we get into your business, I do want to ask you this specific question. As it pertains to those who consider themselves allies and they have friends in the queer community, however, they wouldn't want their children to be queer, what do you have to say to them?
Well, what I'd have to say to them is that you can't fight nature or biology, because being queer is not a choice, right? Just like, for example, being Black or being a brown person, being a Mexican person isn't by choice, or where you're born potentially isn't something that you choose, but it has a lot of things that come together to make that a reality and a fact of your life. And the same goes with queerness. We actually, at our organization, we just led a panel recently called Race, Religion, and Pride, which I actually just came from that to come to this show to talk to you, Jaime.
Oh, congratulations. Well, thank you for making time for the Jaime Dee show. Yes.
And there was a person on that panel whose name is Jewel, and Jewel had said something along the lines of remembering how, we think about queerness, that they have a 93-year-old grandfather. And when they came out to their grandfather communicated, I just accept you for you. Like, I love you as a person, as a whole human being, I love you. And so we think about that, right? We don't choose, based on their point, we don't choose to be queer, but we're born that way, right? It's literally in our DNA. And, how terrible of a life will we live if we're the kind of people to say, you know what, I'm not going to be queer, or, I'm going to pretend to be something else that I'm not, to make other people happy. And within our Black culture, we know we really respect people who come out and are like, I am this is who I am, and I'm standing 10 toes on it, and ain't nobody gonna tell me that I'm not gonna be myself.
That's the Chicago you standing 10 toes. You better go ahead, McKensie. we know that to be true, especially in the African American community. If you don't stand on what you are, who you are, when you are, that's when we're gonna try to push you off that platform. But when you tell us, we are gonna be who we are, and you're going to accept that, that's when you start to see that acceptance in the Black community. I will say, while that's a great thing to have, I wish we could just accept it regardless of proof, regardless of courage, regardless of standing 10 toes. But we're walking that fine line to that power, that fairness, and that equality. And I love that you are here. You are just doing a darn thing. You're literally such a great light. Let's talk about your business. How do we see MMG Earth in the actual community of Chicago? What services do you guys provide?
That's a really great question. So I know I keep saying all your questions are great, but I'm just being honest.
Thank you. Am I just that good of a journalist? Real quick, McKenzie, I got my master's in broadcast journalism. That makes the Black boy in me shine. Thank you.
So I'll say that we've worked with so many organizations. I say in the past 3 years, about 100 organizations. And those organizations focus on a plethora of things, but most of them are focused on improving society for the better. So we work with nonprofits, for example, that are focused on dismantling discrimination and racism within the criminal system, and specifically within the courts. And we also work with organizations that focus specifically on digital rights, which we'll talk a little bit, I know, later today. But that focus specifically on protecting our privacy, so we don't have apps on our phones that are just listening to our conversations and holding the data.
Like they are right now. This iPhone is listening to this whole conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna get on Instagram and just see pride.
Right, exactly.
Did you say pride?
We focus primarily on research that's anti-exploitative. So we're not looking to exploit people's trauma. We're not looking to exploit the experiences that people hold, but we actually develop plans for research that focus on centering the community, especially communities that are most detrimentally impacted by oppression. And then we take those research and we develop long-term strategies for how big organizations and local governments, including that, advocacy organizations, can actually change the way in which they engage in their work to make it that much more liberatory and equitable for everybody involved.
McKensie, I want to talk about something you said earlier, how you're advocating for the community and you're trying to create that change. One thing we do see in everybody's community is, hey, what about me? Why are you just focusing on the queer community? Do you ever feel as though that in the Black community you have to choose between straight or regular Blacks or the queer people? I'm doing air quotes because that's what they like to say. Not saying that I consider it that way, but we hear that, especially in the media, like, what about us regular Blacks? What about us straight people? Do you ever feel like you have to choose between the both?
No, I don't. But I think that that's because I've honed my politic over many years. And so I know that the either or binary is particularly a pillar of white supremacy culture, of white dominant culture. I know that I can accept, all of our Black people and love them, and also still set really firm boundaries around, hey, like I'm not going to be going with any sort of language or behavior that is meant to be violent or that's meant to be harmful towards people, especially people that are marginalized, because I'm not into bullying at all. But I am a firm believer in, being able to actually share viewpoints, listen to viewpoints, just as long as there's an equitable distribution of who's speaking and who's being heard.
Yes. McKenzie, talk to us about this past weekend. I did see on Chicago Media Takeout that you guys celebrated, I guess, Black Pride or some type of pride in Chicago. I'm not sure specifically what it was, but there's just videos. Do you know what it was?
The Hyde Park Summerfest.
The Hyde Park Summerfest. Okay, yes. I was just seeing that it was like everyone's like, oh, it was Pride this past weekend. And so I saw lots of videos of people just living their lives, having fun, twerking, enjoying themselves. Nothing different than experiences I see other people doing when they're on top of cop cars, when they're on top of fire trucks, when they're jumping from house to house, when they're out in the street, yay! But in these comments, I was seeing often, that's what you guys do as queer people? Is that how you represent yourself as gay people? While you're out here on these people's street yelling and enjoying yourselves? What do you have to say to the people who try to distinguish the queer experience, especially during these social gatherings, as different than the regular experience?
Well, I mean, what I would say to them is that, I have to be really honest, Jaime Dee, I probably wouldn't say nothing to them because we'd be in different spaces. But for those who might be on, watching this live, who might be wanting to know the answer to that question, I think I'd say, we're human beings. And ain't nobody gonna stop me or anybody else in my community from celebrating who we are as people.
You getting the bell, McKenzie. Yes, McKenzie. I'm not sure if you see the YouTube, but we do have Naturally Radiant who says, yes, McKenzie, people do not choose to be gay. I've been saying this for years. We have Gina Chandler who says, that is exactly right. You cannot fight nature or biology. Now, before I get into the technology part, Naturally Radiant says, question, is it offensive to be called she? For example, if I saw you on the streets with this blonde, I might say, yes, ma'am, that blonde is blonding because you present feminine today.
So if that happened to me, which happens to me all the time, I'm not offended by that because I'm like, okay, I know what society we just like I have a politic around being very pro-queer, pro-trans. I also have a politic about understanding the psychology of education and learning. And if somebody forever has been taught, if somebody looks like this is their pronouns and they respond that way, I'm like, okay, I'm going to expect a certain amount of that. And then if I engage in conversation with that person, I'll let them know like, hey, these are my actual pronouns, but it's all love. And it's in the spirit of like, I want you to understand me better so I can understand you better. And I'm not fake. So I'm going to be honest about who I am.
Yeah. I think the best thing we could all learn is that we need to give people grace because sometimes we just don't know. And not everything comes from a bad place. But can you talk to us about how I've seen you say that technology can be biased and it can be against the queer experience, the Black experience, and more?
So we know that artificial intelligence is a really hot topic right now. And in particular, for a lot of folks, they might, be thinking about artificial intelligence when it comes to some of these photo apps, right? Or some of these art apps that were art or paintings are sort of being created by technology, by an algorithm. But then there are so many other ways in which AI is being used currently. So over the past 2 years, we've been working with technologists, with journalists, with educators to develop the AI and Racial Justice Toolkit. And in particular, I really wanted to reach Black and Brown folks in our communities who wouldn't otherwise know that AI is being used in some of these ways. So an example is Shadow and Act just this week actually put out an article from Afrotech, and it was about Samuel Jackson. And Samuel Jackson was talking about how in his contracts now, there is these clauses that ask him if he's okay with having his likeness be replicated forever. So long after he's gone, continuing to put him in movies using AI. And so in his words, he said, I cross that fill in the blank out every time because he's like, I'm actually not comfortable with having my likeness be replicated, especially when I don't have any say on the content of it or what I'm being asked to say or anything like that, which could be dangerous. We also know that in 2019, Amazon was sued twice, and they were sued because the lawsuits claimed that they were recording children's conversations and then holding on to that data and that information, basically to be able to sell to them at a later date or in the present. And the lawsuit also claimed that they have a massive database of billions of audio conversations that they recorded from millions of Americans that could then
while they're on the phone.
So like what's, for example, your Alexa.
Yeah.
So when people thought that Alexa was off because they turned it off, they didn't realize that Alexa was still recording these conversations and Amazon was still holding on to the conversations as well.
How is that legal?
So that's the thing, is that in the United States, we're still at the very, very beginning of legislation that actually protects our data privacy rights. We know that in the European Union recently, they actually voted on language to rein in the use of ChatGPT and of other forms of AI, because they're like, we actually want to protect people. And if folks don't know that their data is being used in ways that could potentially be harmful to them or in ways that could be emotionally or mentally manipulative, then we want to intervene in it. The US is at the very beginning of those places of legislation, but it's one of the reasons we developed a toolkit, because a lot of people actually are not really clear on what AI is and how it works. So we wanted to provide that resource.
And so we have a few minutes left. McKensie, explain to us what your toolkit is about and how we can use it.
Absolutely. So the AI and Racial Justice Toolkit is a resource meant to help people to understand how AI intersects with racial inequity and racial equity in our society. So one of the things that it includes actual terminology, so people can begin to develop terminology around the use of AI. It includes case studies. So actually one of the first case studies is from Chicago, and it focuses specifically on the ways in which police are now using AI to predict crime in Black and Brown communities. And then in addition to that, it provides folks with actual very fundamental recommendations for what they could do if potentially they were worried about using some sort of a technology or an app, to make sure that it's safe to use and that their data will be safe and protected.
Do you think we'll be able to protect ourselves in full, though, against technology and AI? Let's say, for example, I'm seeing in my actual industry, they're trying to create AI radio personalities.
Yes.
It's like, hold on now. I've been striving for almost 11 years to get in this industry. I finally got this promotion 3 weeks ago. You're trying to replace me already?
For sure. Well, I think that, with anything, nothing is ever 100%. But I would also say I'd rather be 90% protected from something than 0. And I think what it's going to take is us making sure that, especially in our communities, that this education is readily available to people. So folks understand what they're signing when they are downloading something. And then also folks understand how they should be pushing their elected officials to get themselves educated as well, so they can advocate on their behalf.
That's awesome. Hey, if you're just now tuning in, this is McKensie Mack. They are the founder and chief purpose officer of MMG Earth, a Black and non-binary led change management firm. McKensie, it was an absolute pleasure to have you live on air. You are just such a beautiful individual. I'm so grateful to have you here. And thank you so much for educating me, educating the audience, and really being graceful as it pertains to taking the time to just be there with us. You know, a lot of times people don't want to take the seat and just talk. And I really appreciate you. I'm wishing you the absolute best of luck. You have my full support. You are a Chicagoan just like me, so go ahead. Yes. Now, before we take you off, McKenzie, tell our viewers how they can find and support you.
Absolutely. So if you want to download the toolkit, you can go to mmg.earth. And if you want to find me, you can find me everywhere on all social media, including TikTok at McKenzie. That's McKensie, McKensie Mack. And I would love to hear from you. Get your feedback on this interview.
Yes, I put that all on our social media platforms. McKenzie, absolute pleasure. I would love to have you back on because, hey, even though Pride Month is almost over, Pride will never stop. Thank you so much, McKenzie. You are amazing. Have a great rest of your day. Here is the bell, McKenzie. Yes, bye, friend. Yes, everybody, you were just tuned into the Jaime Dee Show live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 FM every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. PST. Tomorrow I'll be in the studio, so you get to see that wonderful background. And then for the rest of the weekend, and starting next week, I'll be in New Orleans, baby, reporting live from Essence Fest. Make sure to stick around because I want to give you all the tea. Again, this is the Jaime Dee Show. I love you all so much. See you tomorrow. What's up, everybody? You were just tuned into the Jaime Dee Show, live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 FM. If you aren't in the Las Vegas area, you can catch my show live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook at the Jaime Dee Show. That's TheJaimeDeeshow. If you want to advertise your business on my show, email us at info@jaimedee.com. Thank you all so much for your support. See you tomorrow.